All right, welcome back to Wmma Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you tonight with a special fight review. So we're going all the way to Singapore for one championship, Unbreakable number 3. We're going to the main event in the one atom weight, aka strawweight division. Stamp Fairtex coming in at 5-0, putting her undefeated record on the line against Alyona Rassohyna coming in at 12-4. Now I was excited about this fight for several reasons. For one thing, it was Stamp's toughest test to date, at least on paper. Rassohyna coming in with like 3 times the experience, very dangerous on the ground. So it looked to be Stamp's toughest test to date, at least on paper. But for another reason, it was only Rassohyna's 3rd fight in the last 6.5 years. So most of her experience came over 6 years ago. So I wanted to see, what type of ring rust she would be bringing in. Also, because of her penchant for first round submissions, I wanted to see if she could do the same against a tough striker like Stamp. So there's a lot to go over in this fight, so let's get down into it. So first round, Rassohyna was keeping the range with her punches, and she did a very nice job of avoiding the low kicks from Stamp, who then had to go to the body with her kicks instead. Rassohyna got a takedown at about the minute mark, and Stamp immediately started tying her up, looking to scramble. Now, Stamp was able to reverse position and even got mount before moving to back mount. From there, Rassohyna was able to escape, though, and got mount herself and threatened an armbar, and a lot, was starting to wonder, is this it? Is this going to be the first round armbar again for Rassohyna? But Stamp escaped and was able to stand back up. Rassohyna got another takedown, tried to pass, but lost position, which then allowed Stamp to stand up, and, in that stand-up, she landed couple of nice elbows there. And then from there, went back to the feet. Rassohyna, landed a couple of a low kick, but it was answered by a nice right hand from Stamp. So that was the first round, just full of action. Second round, Stamp was using her punches to keep Rassohyna on the outside. I think she wanted to avoid the ground a little bit more. This time, a takedown attempt from Rassohyna got answered by a knee, so Stamp was like, I see you coming now. Second takedown attempt by Rassohyna was then fought off against the fence, and Stamp landed a nice elbow to reward Rassohyna for her effort. And this elbow hurt Rassohyna, so she went for a desperation takedown from there. And she kind of turned to go for the leg and gave up her back to Stamp. So Stamp was now on her back and started fighting for the rear, looking for the rear naked. But Rassohyna did a nice job of, fighting the hands off, and she rolled, giving up the mount. But then Rassohyna was able to use her feet against the wall of the circle and to escape. But Stamp, took her right back down, still had her on the ground, really, and took her back down and got to Rassohyna's guard. But Rassohyna threw up another armbar for a second armbar attempt, but it was fought off by Stamp, who was able to stand up. And then during an exchange on the feet, Stamp landed a nice left hand to the liver of Rassohyna that appeared to hurt her, and it stopped Rassohyna really in the middle of a takedown attempt. You could tell it hurt her too, because when she was down, went to her back, and the ref stood her up, and she stood up and kind of winced a little bit. So that was the second round. And then the third round started with a nice exchange of low kicks. Rassohyna was doing a nice job. She was looking for openings before closing the distance. Stamp threw a push kick that Rassohyna caught and countered it with a nice, she caught it with the right, countered with the left, and followed up with a nice right. A nice short pocket exchange there, and then another one punctuated by an elbow for Stamp, whose elbows were money anytime she got in close. And then a low kick by Rassohyna was answered by a body kick by Stamp. And then Rassohyna got a nice 1-2, and then Stamp threw a nice jab that was countered by a left hook by Rassohyna. Then inside low kick and some punches from Rassohyna, countered by punches and a kick to the body from Stamp. So really, in the third round, they were pretty even on the feet. And then Rassohyna used a nice jab to get Stamp to back up and opened her up for a takedown to get the Stamp's guard with about roughly a minute left. From there, Rassohyna started landing ground and pound from Stamp's guard while Stamp was trying to fight off the pass attempts because she knew Rassohyna was going to try to pass. Stamp, however, used her legs, created room, and tried to scramble, but Rassohyna latched on a guillotine, turned and brought Stamp back down. And Rassohyna turned and squeezed, and it looked like Stamp tapped the shoulder, and the referee, Olivier Coste, stopped it. Of course, Stamp immediately got up and started protesting. But your result, very nice, last-second finish. Alyona Rassohyna winning via guillotine submission, 4 minutes, 53 seconds of round 3. Very nice come from behind, last-minute submission there for Rassohyna. So this was a great fight. It was exciting, lots of action. They were busy pretty much from start to finish. And I'll be honest, I thought the stand-up was closer than what I originally thought it would be because Rassohyna showed some good control of distance and really was able to take away a lot of the damage that Stamp usually lands with her low kicks. Credit to Arius on the Sherdog forums who pointed that out. He can find stuff just watching a fight once that I then go back and watch second time and I'm like, wow, he nailed it there. He mentioned Stamp being not using her low kicks as well because of Rassohyna, who would kind of like dart in with her shots and then keep the distance because that's where Stamp liked to use her low kicks. And then on the ground game, I'll be honest, Stamp did a lot better on the ground than I thought she would too. She showed some good scrambling, and she was able to escape all of Rassohyna's armbar attempts. So nice, even ground game as well. The ground game overall was just crazy scrambles, and just craziness all around on the ground. Whereas on the feet, it ended up being more of a chess match. So fight had a little bit of everything. Now, one thing I said in my preview for this fight was that Stamp needed to avoid too much time on the ground. And unfortunately, she did do that, and it ended up costing her. I was, however, wrong about Rassohyna's lower body takedowns, like, penetration step takedowns, because every takedown she got was from a penetration step and grabbing the legs of Stamp. So I was right about Stamp spending too much time on the ground, but wrong about Rassohyna's lower body takedowns, because I said that she usually does better with her clinch takedowns, but every takedown in this fight, she got attacked in the lower body. I'll be honest, to me, this is an early Fight of the Year candidate. I mean, like I said, exciting, lots of action from start to finish, and then getting that last second submission for Rassohyna, just, chef's kiss. Really put, no pun intended, really put the stamp on it. So the question is, did Stamp Fairtex tap out? I've seen a lot of people saying yes. I've seen a lot of people saying no, and that she got screwed. I've seen a lot of conjecture about, why she might have tapped, even though she thinks she didn't. Like, some people think she panic tapped and didn't even realize it. Some people think that she was passing out and it was like an arm flail. Stamp on her Instagram page said that she was trying to find the elbow to push it up to fight the guillotine, which isn't really proper guillotine defense. You want to start fighting the hands. So anyway, let me know. Do you think Stamp Fairtex tapped out or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, as for things to work on, for Rassohyna, like I said, I thought she showed good distance control, but she needs to work on her positioning on the ground. Establish position before the submission attempts. I think sometimes she went for that armbar a little bit too fast, especially when she had mount in either the first or second round. As soon as she got mount, she went for that armbar. So establish positioning before you go for a submission. And also, I want to see her go for higher percentage submissions. Armbar, even for someone like her who's gotten it time and again, as you move up in the ranks and fight better competition, that is a low percentage submission. I want to see her go for some higher percentage subs to guarantee a better chance at getting them as she fights better competition. Now for Stamp, you know, like I said, she looked better on the ground than I thought she would. Still, too long on the ground with a ground fighter. You know, stick to plan A. If you get taken down or you can stop the takedown, get back up. If you're on the ground, as soon as you can get space, get back up. If you're a top tier striker, don't play around on the ground. Make them fight. Make the ground fighter fight your game. Don't fight their game. Now, as for fights to make, sticking with Stamp, you know, obviously it's back to the drawing board for her in MMA. It's her first loss, but you know what? That's no big deal. I have a couple of fights in mind that I'd like to see for her. First off, you know, I made a video about her versus Hirata gaining momentum, and that was last spring. That video is still getting views, still getting comments. I'd like to see that fight, or I'd like to see her against One Championship's other favorite prospect in Ritu Phogat. Can Stamp stop Ritu's takedowns? Can Ritu deal with Stamp striking? I think that would make for an exciting fight too. So either Itsuki Hirata or Ritu Phogat would make ideal opponents for Stamp, and they're both around that level of MMA experience for her as well. For Rassohyna, you know, they could either give her a top 5 opponent or someone just outside. If they give her a top 5 opponent, I think Lin Hei-jin would be a good fight. Lin Hei-jin hasn't fought as much recently either, so you'd have two fighters who haven't fought as much recently, so, you know, the ring rest thing would even itself out, although I don't think Rassohyna showed really any ring rest on Friday. Or if they want to give her someone just outside the top 5, Priscilla Hurtati Lumbangayo, you know, always makes for good fights, always makes for exciting fights, and would give Rassohyna, I think, a decent fight of it as well. So either one of those two would be good for her. You know, lots of options for both of these fighters for One Championship. And, you know, as much crap as One Championship gets for booking some squash matches, I do think overall that their matchmakers do a pretty good job of knowing where to put certain fighters. All right, so that's it for my review on this fight. Like I said, great fight, early, still early, fight of the year contender though. Just that exciting for me. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments down below. It is available up on YouTube by itself, so I'll put a link in the description and a pinned comment. Go watch it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you liked the video, please give it a like, and while you're at it, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Wmma Scene Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.